was a time, as the dances spread really quickly, where it was clear that we couldn't find, how would you say, professional musicians to fit the bill. You couldn't just, every circle can say, oh, I want a guitarist who's accomplished, a master drummer. And so then, for good reason, there was saying, look, here, just tune the guitar, 115, 115, just put the cape on, just go like this, that's all we need. and that makes a tremendous help to the circle, without question. So now there has to be the equal, voice. Is that any of you who have kindly offered yourself in that simple way, saying, well, I can't really play, but there's a call for it, someone needs to do it. So now I'd say to you, act like a musician and practice every day. I don't know that there's anybody, no matter how extraordinary their talent is, who can accomplish being a musician without practicing. And there's lots of practice methods that have been put out there, and more to come. But to practice some simple lessons every day is one thing I would encourage all of you. Make it part of your practice. I still practice every day. I didn't really start practicing music till after I met Mercia. Now, I did play guitar. I was in New York City in the whole folk music scene. And I never practiced. I got as good as you could get without practicing. I was quite average. not even quite average. I was average. But now I see how valuable practice is. And so, and I want you to know that you don't have to practice a lot. I mean, if you want to be a marvelous musician, you got a good shape. I got an oud December a year ago in Turkey. I've been practicing 10 minutes a day, part of my practicing. Granted, I have other, using the capacities from what I've learned in the other streams of music, but it's coming along. 10 minutes a day. For good music to happen, each person has to give their part. You don't become codependent, right? You have to give yourself your part fully. Each person should have mastery in their subject, and then they come together. You're not all leaning on one person or the other. It's a marriage. So you have to combine attentiveness, what the dance leader wants, with your capacity. How to show the rhythm, how to create movement in the rhythm. The first tendency, naturally, and that is fantastic compared to zero. But after that, it's not that fantastic. It's kind of dull. It deadens the rhythm. To understand a little how rhythm works, learn some of the more complex rhythms that make you feel movement. Like for instance, the most common 8-beat rhythm that's used in Eastern music, accents 1, 4, and 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 4, 7, 1. But if you're so now if you were going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it's dull. So if you learn 1, 4, 7, 1, 4, 7, 1. Now, if you just play 1, 4, 7, 1 the whole time, that's going to be dull too. If you start somewheres and then you start to understand, if you play the upbeat before the downbeat, it's and 1, and 1. So you're bringing feeling and movement in the music, and so you as the musicians to the dance, you can turn the dance every direction you want through the quality of your music. I would love to invite you to practice. I feel it's important for, if we have musicians who have the capacity when the singers don't sing, that you can play the melody of every voice. So it's not just this, but when it's time for the melody, da 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 da. So those of you who are trained musicians, all you have to do is hear it once and you've done it. But those of you who aren't, then you have to somehow start to look at the body of material and start to learn the melody. But if you do scale practice, if you do 5-10 minutes of scales a day, I guarantee you it'll make a difference in your capacity, 100%, in every way. Scales, naturally chords, and then picking styles. So for drummers too, then I have preferences about the kind of drums, and I've been particularly influenced, I think, by Jamiat Ahm, and then also the classical Indian music stream I'm in, which is that the more live the surface of the drum, the more it can touch the heart. And so, though these newest Egyptian drums that are aluminum body with plastic head, they're very popular in Egypt because you get a very crisp sound out of them. For me, I don't care for them. Since I've been playing with Guyana a lot, I like the djembe for the dances. Somehow the doumbek is where we started. I remember traveling, so I don't know where I got it, but I a little metal doumbek with a goatskin head, and when I traveled around with Merchant, I was his drummer. And then later the guitar. So it's like any of the chorded songs. I can play all the chords in the open. Those are all there if they're one in the room. So Dale Blenheim, who does all the movie making, not all, but most of the movie making for the dances, when we were at a camp in the Midwest, filmed, I don't remember, 2-3 hour sessions of a guitar tutorial. And then he divided that into 6 lessons and put them up on YouTube. And Nata also has put out a book on how she does it, and I don't know what Narayan has done, but I'm sure he's got some vehicles for training his approach and so on.
Shabda?
Yeah.
On the North American Dances website, there's one section that's for leaders and musicians, and in that section we do have links to a chord chart that Dave Neural-Hawk Walker put together for open tuning that has all those various chords you're talking about. And there's an article by Munir about musicianship in general, and another article by, I think this one was by Richard Shellquist, on if you want to do open B flat instead of open G, the different gauges you need for your strings because it's not the same gauges. And then I have one that's real simple to start with. If you're going to go from standard to open G tuning, what do you need to do to get there?
There's another one that I was given for drums. It's in a cassette form, so that dates it. I'm not sure who did it, but somebody in the dances. It's a instructional drum for dances of Universal Peace, and that really speaks to some of the basics as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, get to the resources. Right now, I'm dealing with that same issue. People saying, well, why isn't there more transparency in the Rouhani? And I'm thinking like, I just sent you the letter with transparency. Oh, I didn't read that. That's a regular conversation. So do look for the resources. There are a lot of people who have worked very hard to create resources for us, and I hope they'll continue to improve and be more and more of them. Ideally, you get inspired to play for the dance, and then you realize the more you develop as a musician, there won't be any melody, any tune, any rhythm that you need to know ahead of time. Just, oh, there's it, that's the melody, here we go.